Hello, everybody. Ryan Carpenter here with No BS Golf, presented to you by P45 Knuckle Down Golf. That's right. Right here in Central Georgia, we got everything you need for your golf, your everything you want, goals, development, get better, club fit, whatever, you name it. Anything golf, right here. My partners in crime, the thegolfpub.com for your indoor use. You know, it's cold out there right now. You want to still play this morning? Call it the golf pub. You got a membership there. They'll come in at 9 a.m. if you want to start playing this morning, right now. All you got to do is get in there, check it out. Come see me if you want to. I'll do a free demo lesson with you as well. It's the best way to come find out how this all works. We did free demo lessons all the time at Golf Tech. Say, come on in, check out the facility, and then we'll go from there. And so same thing here, anytime. Now's the time to do it because obviously the golf set, if you've been listening and watching it all, the one time a year major Christmas sale is going on. Extra 40, so up to 40% total off lesson packages, but it's an extra discount. The packages throughout the year are already discounted, so you can just go above that and go up to the higher amount this time of the year. I had a player just the other day talking about getting all the lessons all the way through the entire 2025 season, and so he doubled up on the top tier. So now's the time to do it, folks. You can't beat this. And now's the time to get started. Right now is when you want to put in the hard work. Changing some of these things can be difficult at times, and it takes a little learning and development. And so now's the time to be doing that when you're not really so gung-ho about running out to the golf course. And you can be inside at the pub, have some just good, TV going with a little game on if you want, watch some football, work on your game. I can't think of anything better than that. So now's the time to do it. So anyways, y'all know that P45knuckledown.golf.com, at P45KDG, Twitter, Facebook. So just, and if you can, please smash the like, subscribe, share, you know it. All right. What are we up to today? Love it. Started the day up. Well, I got lots of topics, but I'm not going to get to all of it today. But Hank Haney, one of our top guys out there in the business. Some of y'all know him, worked with Tiger for years. And, just straight up, and he's right. If you want to get better at golf, remember that having a goal without a plan is nothing but a dream. I'd say it's less than that, to be honest, but whatever. Without a proper diagnosis, the evaluation lesson, it's impossible to make a plan to improve at anything. Diagnose your game top to bottom, make a plan, then practice. So there's some important things in here, folks. It's why we conduct the evaluation lesson. You have to go through that critical process first in that session in order to custom design and know what is required. What do you have to do? What are you going to need to do to achieve their goals of yours? And that's why he states that there. Then proper diagnosis. It's impossible to make a plan to improve. He's basically saying you're wasting your damn time with everything you're doing if you haven't had the proper diagnosis completed. I don't make this stuff up, folks. I've learned from the best. He is what I consider one of my mentors. I've studied him. I've studied about, at the times, but anyways, about 10 other top 50 Golf Digest instructors, people that come out of in my personal view, I think there's three main trees that exist out there in terms of teaching. You could break it down more than that, but it's basically three. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is, I've spent 25 years studying all these people. This is not stuff that I just came up with out of the thin air. These are things that have been done by prior people like Hank, and they did it for a reason, and they got smart enough to realize why they needed to do it. And so that's why I do what I do. I follow in their footsteps. None of this is my stuff. I didn't make up any of this. So I've just spent the time learning and then developing. We were talking about, in a lesson yesterday that a big part of most important, teaching the golf, look, it's pretty simple. I hear about 3 or 4 statements come out of somebody's mouth about what's going on. And I have a pretty good guesstimate already up here as to what the swing's about to look like. I still want to look at it, of course, to make sure, but it doesn't take much to get a pretty good idea. So the golf swing's easy. That ain't hard at all. That's a piece of cake. I need to get to the point of understanding and knowing my students and develop a relationship with them to where it is, I call it customized coaching, because it's the coaching part that counts, not the teaching part. The teaching part's easy. Here, you're over here, and we want you over there, and okay, well, how are we going to do it? Well, there's a question. That's the key word. And so, anyways, but the whole thing is it's this: important individuals like this, make these statements, and then people are like, oh yeah, well, Hank, good idea, Hank, and then they do nothing about it, and I don't understand why. It's baffling to me that it's just put aside, and then people just go about to their normal whatever, and then either get mad about their game or never really get much better. And so, anyways, it's an important thing. The evaluation is important. Love that he put that up there. That was awesome. All right, so connect the links. What am I talking about here? Well, there's so in day one, I go through and I talk about at some point with every player, and I describe the 3 most important angles in golf. And so they're never talked about, at least not from my experience. Outside of my lessons, I've never heard anybody else talk about this stuff. I can tell you that right now. Anyhow, I mean, there's some that do, obviously, but I'm just saying in terms of my own experiences, especially all of the lessons I took growing up, which we don't even want to go there. But anyhow, and so, when you understand the 3 angles and how they affect output and proper use of the club, if you will, and so on, then you start to dive into the golf swing. Well, I would guess, at least estimate that about every, I don't know, maybe third student that walks through the door for the first day, at some point when I'm asking some questions and trying to find out what's going on, one of the things I finally hear is that, I think I also dropped my shoulder too much. Man, does that one always just okay? Now it's one of those ding 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 ding. When I hear it, I go, oh, okay, I see what we got here. Well, that leads us into connecting the links. Okay, if you have a good, solid, fundamental, say golf swing, let's say that, and let's say you're not like lowering your center. Kind of like a Charles Barkley move, where you drop your entire spine and hips and center all the way down in your downswing. So let's say you're maintaining a fairly solid spine angle at least, right? Then the reality is that there's no such thing as dropping your shoulder too much. It's impossible. Can't happen. Only if the spine angle, or the center shifts with it, would it be too much. And why is that? Why is that? Well, it's the math. When you connect the math, I use my skeleton sometimes in 4D, to help understand this more. But when you think about your skeletal structure instead of your body in general, well, the only way to get the angles to line up, so you got to understand the angles first, is that the body has to shift around the spine. So you can't not drop your shoulder in order to get there. In fact, it's physically impossible. So you get players coming in all the time. What do we see pretty often? You see lots of lag working. I'm gonna hold on to this damn thing as long as I can. First of all, don't do that because it's stupid and terrible. And then you get lots of like different things through impacty. And what you're seeing is a lot of shoving and we call it forced and torquing, but a lot of shoving and kind of drastic maneuvers to try to get into position. It doesn't work that way. You can't affect in a dynamic action a type of swinging motion, a strike with a shove and a twist and a bang bang. So, I mean, it's a good example. Almost everybody out there is pulling up and back to try to hit a golf ball when you're actually supposed to pull up and forward more than anything else. And I know a lot of players get kind of misconstrued. So when you hit a golf ball, you're supposed to actually pull up in and it's like, well, wait a minute, isn't that going to make the club come? Well, again, if we understand our angles and the offsetting connections, when you trace through and understand the connecting parts, no, it actually doesn't. In fact, for a really good player that say is still so, let's say they're moving pretty good, and so you see the motion, some rotations are going, and spine is in position for the most part, and there's no crazy slide in action or nothing. But you still have this player where it's like, hands are leading better, and there's no early extension is the problem. First of all, it's not your shoulder, it's you. You're literally forcing the club out way too early in the downswing, basically. And so when you have the good motion developed and understood, and you start to flow and have that movement, in the proper, and again, there's a sequential order to that as well, which you have to learn. But when you have that and you start to develop the proper, and again, it's a 3-dimensional, so it's hard to do 3-dimensional on a small camera, but there's an ever constant changing rotational basis happening throughout the swing. Well, not for y'all, for good players that have learned the skills of inputs and matched it with body motion for power and movement. And so the forward action of a swing is in a 3-dimensional setting, not a 2D, so not on a camera. And so we have to understand that if we're not holding on and not trying to bend my wrist in to try to, Sergio it and hit the dang right shoulder with the dang golf club. No. It's a fluid motion following the drop of the shoulder. And then as you find your way into eventually impact, if the player is still experiencing some kind of like heavy hitting a little bit, not quite getting like low point, established more through, then I struggle with this little today, trust me. And old habits die hard. And anyways, so you have to eventually start to learn to develop the movement in and through, but then actually pull up and in. And it's one of the probably not that it's not the only. It's one of almost all. Golf is a game of opposites. Ball goes this way. I think I should go that way to fix it, when the reality is you got to go that way instead. Great session this past weekend on the radios with my other 2 guys I consider mentors, and they were talking about the right field effect and hitting it off the right field. Well, most people don't understand that at first, and they're like, "Wait, what? You want me to do what?" And I'm like, "Look, again, we got to go back through and understand the angles, 3 angles, important thing, and then start to understand the connection, connect the dots, and see how it mathematically first, and then physically set. So that there's physics and there's math involved with all of this. So the key of it is this: I've done all the study for all this, okay, and well, I wish I was 16 again. I could go back and really put the time in. But when it comes down to the process of making this all make sense for you, my job is to simplify it. And the only way I can do that is I've got to do the evaluation first to figure out what the heck's going on and what you need and what your goals are, and then develop the custom plan. And then as we go through and go about this, we go inside first because we want to start to put aside the distractions that are out there and really focus and work and develop and change and get a feel for, sometimes it's going to, we hit it right on purpose. In other words, that's what the right field, the first baseline thing comes into play. And then as we develop and establish a new sense and understanding of motion and how it works, and we start to piece together some new movements, then we go outside and we start trying to put it into action. And I go outside with my students and I walk them through that process, and we start to really bring it together. And then we're back inside for more, and then we go back. So it's a back and forth But you need that time spent developing and understanding things like shoulder tilt, like that. The fact that that right shoulder is absolutely supposed to drop in a golf swing. It's critical. It's not just it's supposed to. You cannot establish proper impact without it. It is impossible, physically impossible. So, and we get it. If you've done it, when you complete over 18,000 lessons now, of 50,000 hours spent doing this plus, we know where it comes from, and that's okay. It's okay to have that feel and that sense, but that's why it's so important for you to get in there so we can evaluate it and say, well, I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing: your shoulder's actually up here and you're early extended, and that's the problem. And then you start to see, oh, what? Really? Yeah. That's why it's so critical. And so that's what Mr. Stan or not Stan, man. Stan's one of mine. Really go look up a name for me, folks. I think he's still down in Arizona. Stan Utley was a member at CCMO when I was there for 5 years. And at the time he was still playing professionally on tour. And Stan's an amazing fella. He never really quite learned how to hit it very far. I learned, I'm just not great at it. And anyhow, but it was the most magical short game man on the planet, maybe ever. And he still holds, I believe, and you can look it up and correct me if I'm wrong, but at least there's probably still at least 9 records he still holds of some type when it comes to short game. 2 of which, or 1 of which for sure, I believe it's least putts in 9 holes, and it was something like 6, I think. Look me up. You can call me wrong if you want to. That's fine. But the way it went was this: he's playing on tour. He had a hole-in-one, he had a chip in, and I believe he dunked it from maybe 30 yards or something as well. So 3 holes, he didn't even grab the putter. And then I believe he had 6 1-putts, if I remember correctly. So it was something to that. It's in the record book. It's out there. You can look it up if you really care that much. Go for it. Anyways, so post-career, and this was about probably a good 2 years after I left CCMO. You can go back and get a piece of some of this if you want on my the story of P45. Anyways, I was off at the creek at that time. An amazing place. Boy, we can cover the creek some other day. But I got a job that everybody in the business said you ain't going to get, son, because you're just coming out of college. And there's guys that have been in the business for 30 years that are trying to apply for that job. I said, okay, well, whatever. That's not how I roll. So I'm still going to go try to get it anyways. And I went up and I talked to the Mr. Bury man. Boy, we got to talk about Bury someday. Amazing individual as well. Anyhow, and 3 hours later, I left. I went home, and the next morning, I missed a phone call to the house, and back in those days, and pre-cell phone basically. And anyhow, sure enough, Mr. Beerman called me up and said, "Hey, I'd like to give you the job." So I went and got the job anyways. The Creek is basically an invitation-only facility, very, very limited membership, incredibly high-end in pricing. Basically, the way I describe it, it's pretty much Augusta National of Kansas City. So anyways, long story short, I was up there, and I had Mr. Utley. He went on and started creating his own teaching business for himself because a lot of the pros out there kind of learned of him, saw him, and they just said, "Hey, Stan, you come take a look at me. Tell me what I got." So he got real popular with the pros, and at that point realized, well, maybe I got this thing to run with it. He's got an amazing teaching business now down in where's he at? Is he at Greyhawk? Do a quick search for me, right? Do it right here with me. Stan. Utley, Mr. Stan Utley, golf instruction. And I believe, oh, wow, he expanded it. Yeah, he's still teaching for sure, which is great because he knows everything too. It's not just one thing. Oh, he's got his own new little arcs here. These are kind of cool. Anyhow, he's in Arizona. I know that. And unless he's switched locations. Well, let's see. Yeah, dead time. I know, bad idea. Uh, where in the heck is he? Uh, anyway, well, you can look it up. Like I said, man, he's an incredibly experienced, and educated man, and I will tell you this: he's a very kept individual. So he's not shouting, not near as much as I do. I get well, come down to the pub, you'll see. I'm pretty loud. I don't. I like to be loud. I want to talk. I want people to hear me. So, anyways, uh, and but he's a little quiet and he's a little kept, but he's so smart because he's very careful about what he says, and it's the mark of a good instructor. And he's very careful with understanding his people, and he's very careful with delivering the message. And it's incredibly important to do that as a teacher. He might be clients from his bases. Well, he maybe have moved around a little bit here now. Says Shady Oaks in Fort Worth, Maroon Creek in Aspen. He might have multiple locations. Man, he is exploding. He was one that basically helped. There's a video here how Barkley fixed his swing, and Stan was a big contributor to that. So, Stan has a way of just kind of, well, he's an incredibly humble individual, which is one reason he's an amazing man. But yeah, go look at his website. He's done a lot to the website, so much more than what it used to be. And I love it because on his front page, he puts up his coaching philosophy, which if y'all don't know, again, the story of P45. P45 KDG is just simply a quick and easy illustrated version of my teaching philosophy. Where I've been and where I've come from and how I got here is summed up with the word, and it's a simple breakdown. It's a position to position into a strike. And the summation of that is basically this: while there are detailed differences from all different players out there, Daly, Furyk, Matthew Wolf, whatever, from this point here, there's a certain point in time from here to here to here where it all lines up. There's a sequential order, there's a mathematical need, and there is a physical need, which is going back to the shoulder thing. You ain't dropping your shoulder too much, folks. You got to understand and learn to connect. You have to start with the three angles. You got to get into understanding proper positioning, and then you got to do the connection. And when you can finally draw all that together and see it for yourself, you'll start to go, oh, I'm supposed to do that. So come on down to the store, folks. Set up a time. Evaluation is the critical one. If you just want to come visit first and meet me and talk with me and learn about me and learn about the facility. Again, if you haven't been to the pub, you have to go check it out at some point. I mean, it's crazy not to. You sit at a bar and just drink some beers and watch a game. Play 9 holes. What are you just sitting there for? And anyways, go see the facility. Love it. Thank you to the guys at the pub for providing us with an amazing place to teach and do this kind of work. And if you want to do a free lesson, I can do a free quick demo. I'm not giving anything away. Trust me. It's just to give you a way of understanding how this all works, see what the plan would kind of sort of look like, if you will. And then we'll dive into the real plan and then take it from there. Now's the time to do it. Up 40% off. Can't tell you. There's no better time. And this goes away all the way till next Christmas. So get started now. For now, smash, subscribe, like, share, blah, 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 blah. If you could, please, it really helps me out. I appreciate it. Got to get on one day. Take care. Ryan Carpenter, P45, Knuckle Down Golf. See you later, folks.